Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. Alright, let's go ahead and let's do another entry here. This one yet again based on one of your new suggestions. This one having to do with yet another one of my beloved Lumberjack Cryptids. You know me, if you follow my channel for a couple of years now, you know just how much I chronicle these particular cryptids, and I have my own playlist associated with them too. So if you hadn't had a chance to see some of my past videos, specifically the Lumberjack ones, check them out. I'll include the playlist below. You'll be able to see them, and this will be yet another new entry there. But this one has to do with a feline-like cryptid, one that is found there in western North Carolina, and who knows, is maybe still out there to this day. Very easy to distinguish. In fact, it has one simple characteristic on its tail that absolutely tells you that you're in the presence of this cryptid. But you're looking at a picture of it now. It goes by the name called Santer, and I'll go ahead and let's talk about it here, and in that way let's see if you can find this creature yourself there in the North Carolina area. So let's go ahead and let's share that information right now. So what is this Santer? Well, again, considering it's a fact it's from the Lumberjack tales, the Lumberjack period, you're looking at about a creature that's been seen at least in the earliest reported sightings in the 19th and early of 20th century. Of course, it could have been around a lot longer before then, but at least those are the first known reported sightings. There's some different ones too. We'll talk about that more here in a minute. But first, let's focus on its characteristics. So you have to have something involving a regular cat, maybe even larger than a regular cat. In fact, looking at some of the descriptions, it varies on the size. It goes from just being larger than your average cat to being the size of a potential cow. So it goes to show just how big this creature could be. Its hair is sometimes gray, sometimes reddish. It has a very large head, and then also has some bald spot associated on the top, but its eyes are very small, or smaller than usual compared to the size of its head. And in fact, it has the standard long legs associated with a cat, and then it has some other like whiskers and claws and so on. But by far, the biggest characteristic is its tail. Just like a cat, it has a long tail, but it has a very long one. And on top of that, it's equipped with knots. So in other words, it's as if someone took that long tail and then tied one knot into it, tied two, tied three, and then you go all the way to 8. It has 8 knots within its tail, rigged knots too, very hard in other words, and it makes it look like someone took a necklace or some other type of beads all in one place. But this is what it has, and it uses it to a very effective manner. In fact, let's talk about its main hunting skills. Good news is it does not tend to hunt humans. There are no reports about it favoring humans or going after them. Instead, it actually attacks a lot of other animals and also anything involving livestock as well. So farmers that are out there, they may not be attacked personally, but they'll definitely be attacked financially because of what this creature does. So it uses its tail to its advantage. Those heavy knots, along with the momentum that it can swing its tail, causes it to have a very powerful strike. It's been told that even one single strike of that tail is enough to knock out a cow or a hog. Imagine the power associated with that, right? I mean, imagine you could take something like a big strike just to take out any of those animals from a human. But with this, I mean, at least several strikes, right? But with this animal just doing it once, that's easily something that it has very effective when it comes to both an offense and defense. One can only imagine what that would do to a human as well. But that's what it does. It creeps around. It finds, just like a cat would, like it creeps around in a very, very effective manner, effective hunter status. It preys on any animals that are within its vicinity, or if it goes out on the hunt for any animals. And then when that happens, that's when it strikes. And when it does so, even though it's rarely seen, there's a good way of finding its nearby presence, because its cry, instead of, let's say, sounding like your average meow like you hear from a cat, no, in this case it's more along the lines of a baby-like wail. So how about that? A little eerie when you think about it, when you're out there in the middle of a forest and then you hear something like this. makes it sound much more sinister than it is, but you're in fact in the presence of this Santer. But yes, let's talk about the encounters that it had with people. So the way the story goes again, it loves preying on livestock and in some fortunate cases on people's pets too. One of the earliest known sightings/attacks happened on September 4th, 1890. That's when it was reported on an old newspaper that was called the Statesville Landmark. It stated that a police officer, a guy by the name of Mr. Fettle, shot at it when it was after the police dog. Well, I don't know if it was actually the police dog or if it was just a random dog or maybe even a stray dog, who knows, but it shot at it, and then when the police officer inspected things further, it saw that its tracks were really, really big. In fact, its tracks were about 8 inches long and then 4 inches wide. And then the way that the tracks were in terms of length made it very similar to the size of a bear. And in fact, it was reported later on that a hunting party was created, and this was because the creature was next seen eating not only several pigs but also several cows. 7 pigs and then 15 cows altogether. I mean, my goodness, that's like a whole farm right there, right, when it comes to this. But the hunting party did not have much success. They found more tracks, but they were not able to find the creature itself. Cut to a little bit later, October 4th, 1890, and then that's when another person, a possum hunter, a guy by the name of Abe Harbin, stated that this thing, the Santer, had scared his dogs. And then there was another person, a guy by the name of Adam Lentz, who said that he only saw a glimpse of it, but he got the impression that it was once again the size of a cow. And on top of that, more people saw this creature on different nights because it apparently went up to 2 people's houses and looked straight into their windows, growling and so on. And obviously that would cause pretty good scare when it comes to this creature. You're not going to expect a cat like that size, right, coming out there, but that's essentially what these people saw. More sightings happened years later in 1897. 7 years later, it was spotted by a river called the Roaring River, and it was this time eating some of the local cats there. And then there was another encounter, this time in 1897, June 9th, where it was reportedly captured. But it was apparently, though, resembling more on the lines of a shepherd dog, so it wasn't 100% per se that it was this actual Santer itself, but otherwise that's at least one report about it being captured. And then yet another sighting was this 1899. It was caught eating 12 chickens, and then this time the person that saw it stated that it had more along the lines of a gray-like appearance, smaller this time because it was more the size of a cat or a dog. And then that was it. The sightings, they continued thereafter, but they weren't more specific, instead going more into like the 1900s and then into the 1920s, and then they seemed to stop. So who knows exactly what happened to this Santer, if it was finally hunted down to the last one, or if it decided to go to another area to just remain as elusive as ever. We don't know. There's just not going to be any new appearance so far with regards to this creature. But if you wanted to try to find it, you would have to go again to North Carolina, and then right below the Mason-Dixon line, that's essentially where this creature resides. You may find it in the forest-like areas. It's also apparently found in the wooded swamps, or wherever there's any kind of small villages that it can roam about almost freely, but still have, the ability to remain elusive, to remain hidden. So those are the main places that you can go to try to see it to this very day. But that's pretty much it. That's all the information associated with this very unique Lumberjack Cryptid. How about that? The Santer, very long tail, 8 knots, almost swings it like an ankylosaurus, something that uses it for both offensive and defensive purposes. And luckily, of course, it's not doing anything in terms of hunting humans. But if anybody has any more info, anything else I might have missed, then please post those comments below. What about those of you in that location? What about in the North Carolina area? Maybe you've been by there in the past or live there currently. It'd be great to see what your thoughts on there. For a while, too, I thought I had actually talked about this creature when I was looking up this information. I even did a search on my channel using the name itself and variations of the name, but nothing came up. But Otherwise, I thought I did, but I'm glad to be able to share it here. And once again, if you want to check out some of my other past Lumberjack Cryptids, then I have this whole playlist. Check out the link below. You'll be able to see all of them there, and who knows, I'll be able to add some more soon as well for you. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.